Following the theurgy tutorial of my randomized run, we get some goodies from third best girl for doing well on exams, then head straight to Tataris following the theurgy tutorial. Ironically enough, I forget to grab a new persona after getting past the full moon, so I guess this was secretly a nerfed run. I try to fight Hierophant and get humbled by Overseer.
Psych!
So I decide to go fight Hermit so I can get level Junpei up. We bump up to level 42, and with the team relatively around each other strength wise, I decide to go take on the next gatekeeper. I should take the time to say that because this is a randomized run, one of my biggest nerfs, ironically enough, is theurgy. Luckily I unlocked it for my team, but due to rule number 2 of the run, getting an actual useful theurgy for myself is going to prove difficult. And by difficult I mean completely based on RNG. This fight ends up being really tough due to my team getting feared constantly and getting hit with Tempest / crits. It gets to the point where I'm not even doing damage, I'm just trying to survive. I realized that going to this fight with theurgies is probably the smarter move, and so I leave, go back to lower floors and start grinding. For some reason my hubris got the better of me, and I decided to just try the fight again after getting bored, which leads to me just leaving Tataris because rage. Leading up to the 7/7 full moon of my randomized run. After leaving Tataris, Mitsuru shows us around the dorm, despite us living there for 2 months already. We do some more social linking and leveling up. We meet Strega, with second best girl Chidori being followed around by Takaya Simp and Man with No Shirt. He uses Joker's neutral special, and we continue on like we did not just witness a murder. Akihiko meets up with Shinji, we do some more leveling. I decide to hold off on floor 28 while I go handle the next full moon. Berlin scans the area and we find out the Shadow is shacked up in the Love Hotel. And we crash. After running back up there, we find Spooky Castle with max health. Unfortunately for him, we have Divine Judgment and arguably cruel but funny way of killing him. We smack the mirror in the room and they are greeted by what I can only describe as most certainly someone's wet dream. After witnessing product placement, making the funny P4 reference, Dire. That's not you're not me! And getting hit by No Name signature technique. After getting past the Yukari boss fight, we reunite with our group and head upstairs to run it back with the boss. No Name gets to have a full theurgy because embarrassment.
Unforgivable. I'll never forgive you for that!
And we steamroll this fight.
I'm about cooking, bro.
Following this, we get stalked by the 3 quirky kids next door and we continue on with the run. Before sailing off to Yakushima of my randomized run, I finally remember that this is a randomizer and not a Suffering is Eternal playthrough, and finally get my 3rd randomized persona, which should actually be my 4th, but it's fine. We get reminded of our past that has withered due to time, and he has come back with a fresh coat of paint. We now have Armor Piercing Shell, which if you don't know is one of the tank's moves from the Chariot Justice duel fight. Seeing as this move doesn't crash us and has a net cost of 0 HP, yeah, I think you can all see where this is going. We do the funny reference,
welcome White Rider, welcome Catman,
and make a disclaimer.
There's gonna be just somebody who like has tuned out the past like 3 times I've mentioned Joseph Anderson. They're gonna be like, they're gonna get to the comments, he's stealing all of his jokes.
I can't wait, I cannot wait. And we are now dedicating all my strength days to White Rider. More plot happens, No Name stands up from her chair to accuse third best girl, Junpei has some self-reflection, Worst Girl has another monologue, and while all this is going on, I have more Tanaka to watch. We breeze through exams, meet Katone's jailbait, and now it's time to sail to Yakushima for more plot, and for Junpei, in typical anime fashion, to have an excuse to make the girls feel very, very uncomfortable. More plot happens, we watch Ikutsuki's best handiwork in Final Cut Pro, and Worst Girl has a mental breakdown that we are now responsible for. The guys plus Rize decide to go hit on the local populace, and we get introduced to arguably and undeniably best girl.
As they say.
We officially get introduced to Aigis and then do an all-out attack on Junpei, concluding the obligatory beach scene that is in every Persona game. Leading up to the next gatekeepers of 28, 35, 36, 42, 47, 54, and 60, a whole lot of nothing happens besides me leveling up White Rider stats, though we do meet second best boy Koromaru, aka Famous Dog, and continue on. I decide I've put it off long enough and it's now time to plow through some Tartarus floors. I level up Aigis a bit through our Hermit and decide to try and kill Hierophant, in which... at the very least I don't have to think about it anymore, but now it's time for my salty run back with... After trying and failing numerous times, Aigis shows us exactly why she is best girl with getting a crit followed by my own.
Tactical nuke incoming!
With the nuisance dead, we can finally just kill strength as if it was the normal full moon encounter and move on. Mitsuru snaps her fingers, does damage, and we continue through Tataris finally. We keep going, get to the next gatekeeper on floor 35, pub stomp it, as well as floor 36. Since we got past the roadblock known as Samurai, getting past these gatekeepers haven't been too difficult. Pushing past floor 42 burb, we get to floor 47 gatekeeper, which looks intimidating at first, but when in doubt, death bounded out, and we keep pushing forward. We reach floor 54's gatekeep, which holds a vestige of the past,
Hello there.
showing us just how far we've come on our journey. At first, it looks like White Hand was going to give us some trouble, but it only has buffs and debuffs, so we push forward. We reach the floor 60 gatekeeper, who is, yeah, unfortunately, Takai's AI does crash, which means we have to re-randomize and add him to the list of enemies to exclude. Now, unfortunately, while recording, I forgot to set my scene back to the game. So this is the only gatekeeper this happens for, but unfortunately, you're just gonna have to trust me on this one. Floor 60 just dies. Luckily, this is the only time I make this mistake, and after this, I decide to restart OBS. For the 8-6 full moon of my randomized run, after getting to floor 77, we leave Tartarus and get ready for the 8-6 full moon. Unfortunately, this is another case of the boss not being able to be randomized. I'm not entirely sure whether this was an encounter problem or I just kept getting unlucky with the randomization, but for now we do the full moon just normal and keep it pushing. Unironically, the game starts ramping up a bit here, duly noted by Worst Girl proving once again her lack of worth by getting one shot. At first I thought we had a bit of a fight on our hands before realizing
Your powers are mine!
and giving them a taste of their own medicine. Mitsuru snaps her fingers once more and the full moon is concluded. We give in to our gambling addiction once more, being rewarded with Dakini and the Theurgy best friends. Now here's the deal, unfortunately despite how funny it would be, we can't have a Theurgy as a skill. The game doesn't actually register it being completed and you just get soft lock trying to use it. However, I decided that since we did get it by a random skill, I would just unlock the Theurgy on myself. This way I finally obtain a useful Theurgy and not just be stuck with Cadenza all game. Leading up to the 9-5 full moon of my randomized run. Since Dakini is pretty useless to us compared to our other personas, we just continue to level up social links and our stronger ones. More plot happens, second best boy joins the party officially and then unfortunately gets benched. More plot happens, we get a doctor's checkup, meet up with Shirtless Man, and it crashes. We do the encounter like normal with Takaya sandbagging the entire time as we do the heavy lifting. We continue on, more plot happens again, Mitsuru flexes her coat wherever she goes, and Junpei starts putting the moves on second best girl. We come back to hear a line every person should respect.
No means no.
Meet Shirtless Man again on a walk, and continue on. We do Akihiko's linked episode, Junpei fails at spitting some more game, and we continue leveling up persona stats. Aigis says, as a party member, she is not replaceable, and decides to enroll in school. Shinji joins the team, only to be immediately benched since we don't associate with walking corpses. More plot happens, Junpei decides to sell out the team for even the slightest chance at getting Chidori. Please. No. And now we're back in Tartarus. My plan for the floor 77 gatekeeper is simple, grind Theurgies then full dump them. However,
Let's do this.
yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I decide I can't beat it right now and just go for the full moon instead. For the 9-5 full moon in my randomized run, for his crimes of being a simp, Junpei gets kidnapped while there's an operation going on. This time, on the roster is Hermit, despite the 50 clones of him that we've slain. Luckily this fight can be randomized no problem, so we get the giant statue, pop some abilities, then continue on. Junpei saves his Trap Queen from getting all out attacked by all the Persona Pals. Chidori gets put in the hospital, which is her version of the silly room, and we grab our next randomized persona. This time we get Hellel, which is cruel considering this is one half of an otherwise very useful puzzle. Unfortunately, the only skill we get on it is Rakunda, which is not that useful, but at least we have Heat Riser and Salvation on the team. More plot happens, Junpei still tries to rizz up Chidori, and we close out on this day. Little did I know, at this point I was actually a bit burnt out from playing, and I went on a month hiatus from recording. Whoops. I refamiliarize myself with the run, level up some more stats, do some social links and gardening, and then continue on. After returning, I once again tried my hand at floor 77 Gatekeeper, the encounter that single-handedly made me took a 1-month hiatus, and was quickly reminded why that was so. This encounter is incredibly difficult despite our levels and abilities. Against all odds, we actually weren't doing half bad on this attempt. With some more than lucky dodges and some good RNG, we were surviving quite a long time. At this point, I'm popping everything in hopes to finally get through this. We get a lucky Fuka proc for a party-wide Heat Riser. We luckily don't get crit on the following Vorpal Blade, and then... Oh dude, you just lost! Well, boom boom bye bye punch face. Oh my gosh, we won.
No shadows detected.
Wow, okay, well, yeah, I was actually in disbelief. I did not expect to win, but we take those. With that out of the way, we do the funny melody impression. Hold up. Well, that just happened. Which, as a by the way, shout out for her for the amazing work as doing FEMC in this mod. And after that, we finally push forward unlocking monad doors. Now, here's the thing. As you'll see later, we do have a better system for monad doors. However, now with this specific one, it's a scripted event and thus cannot be randomized. With getting past that, we officially now have access to monad doors and we continue forward. For the next gatekeeper on floor 82, we run into 3 fodder enemies and keep pushing. We test out whether monad doors can be randomized and
Holy Jesus. What is that?
yeah, that's a terrifying sight. But honestly, Persona could use more of these. I learned that monad doors accurately display the persona you're actually going to fight, which is interesting because I don't know why gatekeepers don't function the same, but sure.
Hello there.